What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pick Six Podcast, and we're looking at Week 9 of the NFL season today. Katie Mox here, joined by Will Brinson, of course, and Sportsline's finest, RJ White and Alex Selelnick, aka Propstarz. This episode of Pick Six is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. If you like winning picks, make sure you sign up at sportsline.com and use the code PICK to get your first month for just $1. Last episode in the feed, Brinson, Brady, and Lige were discussing the outs of Josh McDaniels and the handing of midseason awards. Check it out on our YouTube channel or anywhere that you get your podcasts. Unfortunately, I was not here last week to make picks and make up for my horrible no win, I think, Week 7.
You had the same number of wins as last week.
Well, that's true, but y'all had it. Well, at least I know Brinson. I don't know how everybody else did, but Brinson also had a tough week, and then you were able to make up for it last week. That's what I'm saying. So, like, I did not have the opportunity to make good on my horrible week, but here are the standings. Brinson went 3-2. RJ, don't let RJ heat up. 5-1. He's now 27-24.
RJ right now is like, you know, when you play NBA Jam,
yeah,
and it's like he's heating up.
Yeah,
like RJ's like dribbling around the court with a basketball that's like on like in flambe.
Yeah.
Well, here's the true. Everybody's gonna hate me. I'll complain about the one loss too, because I had the Rams under 19.5 points. And they're down 43-17, and Sean McVay's like, yeah, I'm gonna kick a field goal here. You know, who cares? And ruined
that is a tough one.
Ruined it 6-0. So
you can't keep a good dog down. RJ White just coming through now, having the most wins. Actually, he's beating you, Brinson, now 27-24.
Oh yeah, I told you. I mean, this is a thing I told you would happen too.
Yeah.
And Alex 4-1, strong week with the props. Mr. I only get hot early in the season, and then seems like but everybody. Well,
but
Katie
me.
is below. Yes.
I didn't have the opportunity. I was instead spending $3,000 at the emergency vet instead of putting hopefully winning picks on here. But let's dive in.
Half a unit, a whole half a unit.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I'm kidding.
But I know exactly.
Idiot.
All right, let's get into Week 9 here, and guys, if you're listening to this tomorrow or at any point over the weekend, this is Thursday at about 2 p.m. So please note that lines and odds are subject to change all the way up until kickoff. All right, let's start here with a game that I have quite a few bets on. The Dolphins at Kansas City Chiefs, but really it's in Germany. The Chiefs are -1.5, and the over-under is at 50.5. I'm going to go ahead and I talked about this on the Monday show. I like the Chiefs here laying the 1.5. I think that they win, and they win handily. You know, the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career, he lost on the road to an AFC West opponent. And of course, it was the Broncos. It was even saltier. He had a flu game. He hurt his hand a little bit, but I do expect him to bounce back. He's 14-3 straight up after a loss. And if you look at this Miami team, cover your ears, Harry, our producer, they really haven't beaten a team with a winning record at that time since Week 3 of last season. And they've really struggled against top tier defenses, which we know that Kansas City does have. So I'll take Patrick Mahomes in the bounce back here. I also like Tyreek Hill to get a touchdown because obviously if I think they're going to win, the Dolphins will score. So I do like him to get a touchdown. He is, I think, ranked first, right, in touchdowns with 8 this season, second in receptions at 61. And he's had a touchdown in 7 of 8 games, including the last 4. So those are my bets.
So here's a fun fact about this. Marcus Valdes-Scantling told Brian Diardo of CBSSports.com. I'm not entirely sure why Diardo got a one-on-one with MVS. Like, it was just there's nothing unusual about having an interview with football players for anybody on our site, but like Marcus Valdes-Scantling is certainly a random one. And he was asked about traveling to the international game. He said, yeah, it sucks. I mean, obviously it sucks that we have to travel 9 hours for a home game when Arrowhead is right down the street, but we do have other fans. I know we got a lot of Germany fans, but it does suck for the players to have to be away from their families, or I've got to find a babysitter for my dog for a couple of days.
I feel that. It's expensive.
I don't know why that cracks me up, but I love the idea that like NBA, cool. I actually searched Chiefs travel in the first, because I was going to see, do you guys know when they went over?
I think it's either Wednesday or Thursday. I know it's a little bit earlier than teams have tended to, but it's not as early as
But-
Miami, who of course went
Yeah.
super early. And they followed the Baltimore.
Miami was there Tuesday.
Yeah.
Thanks, Harry. Chiefs for flying in. Of course, Harry knows as a Dolphins
Yes.
fan, and producer Harry is obviously like on top of stuff. Anyway,
Yes.
actually, he's on top of everything. Very meticulous with his notes too. We appreciate that. The Chiefs are flying in today, so today is Thursday. That means the Dolphins. I mean, dude, I don't know. That's like 3 whole days to adjust. I think I like the Dolphins. I think the Mahomes all dealing with the flu or whatever he's got going on, and the line is coming down. I think I would lean towards the Dolphins here. I don't get me wrong. Chiefs off a loss.
Well,
Very
I've
good
hedged
spot.
a little bit here with the Tyreek touchdown, so look, but I just think Patrick Mahomes doesn't lose 2 in a row like this. I don't think he still has the flu, but I guess nobody else has any bets on this game. That's interesting. I thought this would be.
No, I lean toward you with the Chiefs. I mean, the Dolphins defense coming off a great game against New England, 218 yards, 1 of 9 on third down. You have Jalen Ramsey back, which obviously makes a huge deal that he came back as early as he did. But this defense did struggle to contain Philly, Buffalo, and the Chargers. And the Chiefs should be similar. I know we didn't see that last week with the Mahomes illness game, but I can't take much away from their offense in that you expect they're going to be completely different moving forward. That was just a random thing that happened for them. Their defense is great against the pass. We've seen Miami pivot to a run-focused attack in some of those situations where they have a team that's good against the pass. So we'll see if they can do that here. I wonder if Mahomes won't be at his best because you put that illness together with an international trip. Is he back to 100% by this point? I hope so, because then you got to get on a flight and go 9 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is. But the reason I like the Chiefs is they're ultimately Miami's offensive line just got banged up in that last game. Just guys dropping left and right. And I don't think you want to be banged up against this Chiefs front. So I think that Chiefs defensive line might dictate what happens in this game, and the Chiefs can pull out a win here. Probably won't be as many points as people expect, but I think the Chiefs get the win.
All right. The RJ, who is hot right now, is leaning on my side, so it makes me feel a lot
I'm going to
better.
change my pick to the Chiefs.
Hey. All right. What's next?
Next up, of course, yes. I think I'm going to forget that from now until the rest of the time that I get a second. Rams. Not as exciting a game. Not featuring offenses that are quite as enticing. The Rams at the Packers, a possible Matthew Stafford trip to Lambeau Field. We don't know. He's considered day to day, according to Sean McVay. Stafford, of course, if you haven't seen the injury, man, I mean, Stafford jammed his hand into somebody's helmet, like the face mask. Like it looked,
right in the Ugh.
Like he was following through and his hand grazing the thumb jammed in there. Like I don't want to take the Packers because I think that Jordan Love is problematic. I mean, his own GM came out and questioned him this week. Was asked about like, he's like, Brian Gutekunst was asked, do you think you'll be able to figure out if Jordan Love is the guy by the end of the season? He was like, I certainly hope it doesn't take longer than that. But I mean, over the last few weeks, he has been erratic as hell. It's hard to trust. And yet I just have a hard time believing that Matthew Stafford's going to go into Lambeau Field in November and be himself with a banged up hand, RJ. So I definitely am leaning towards just not having anything on this game.
Yeah, at 3, which is where it seems like it is at the market, I kind of like the Packers. I know they haven't scored at all, basically. I mean, they have no answers for the first half, but the Rams defense is fading a little bit. They've allowed 23 points in 4 of their last 5. They really need the offense to keep them in the game, and if Stafford's out, I don't know that you can count on that because that offense, remember, last year was a complete train wreck. I know Baker Mayfield had that 51-point game on Christmas, but other than that, it was very rough. Green Bay's defense is also 12th in yards per play, 8th in the red zone. So they could be able to carry them in this game and win a very low-scoring game. I think if you want to play the Rams side, I would play it first half. We saw how bad the Packers have been in the first half the last 5 weeks. And you would think that getting a backup quarterback like Brett Rippon on those first 15 plays that tend to be scheduled, getting him in rhythm, they'll be able to do that in the first quarter and then into the second quarter. And then the Rams might be able to hang around. And then good luck after halftime when he has to improvise. So if you like the Rams, play him in the first half. If you like the Packers, try to get 3. I think I'm a lean on Packers at 3.
If Matt Stafford does play, take him for an interception. It's one of my favorite bets. Plus, with a banged up throwing hand there, he might be a little bit
rude
off. You know what? It makes money, Brinson. That's all I can say. Moving on, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Houston Texans. Texans laying 3. Let's see if the line is still there. Yep, and this total is pretty low, 40. RJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I have the Buccaneers +3 here as a best bet. These teams are basically the same teams. You could call them the Houston Buccaneers and the Tampa Bay Texans. They both coming off disappointing offensive days. Houston's offense, I think people would say, is slightly better here, but Tampa Bay's defense 32nd on third down, but first in the red zone. Houston's defense very similar, not to those extremes. Houston's offense 7th on third down, but 26th in the red zone. Tampa Bay's offense very similar, good on third down, struggles in the red zone. And both defenses great versus the run. Both offenses can't run, but they're solid passing the ball. So it's a very, very similar matchup. I think getting Tampa Bay with the 3 on extended rest, their offense improved a little bit last week, I thought, against Buffalo. I think that's the way to go here. I don't think that if Houston wins this game, it's going to be by more than 3. So don't play the 2.5, but definitely find a 3 and play it at Tampa Bay +3.
Alex, you got anything on this game?
Nothing on this game. I know RJ has a best bet or a prop that I saw from this game that I actually like quite a bit. RJ, are you giving that out on the show today?
You can go find that on Sportsline. It's a good time to plug Sportsline, where I was even better than I was on the show. 9-0 against the spread on Sportsline last week. 3-0 on player props, which typically I am not very good at. Alex can attest to. Did give out 2 player props on Sportsline today. One of them from this game, so go check it out.
I didn't want to reveal it prematurely, but yeah, not a lot of props from this game. I do have my eye on Nathaniel, a.k.a. Tank Dell.
Yes.
I think he's in a potential bounce back spot here. I agree with RJ. Both teams really struggle running the football. I think we'll see a bit of an uptick in passing volume, but I also expect a low scoring environment here. Not a lot of props that I love.
I just clicked, went to sportsline.com.
To see
Want
what
to congratulate. What's that?
To see what the prop was?
No. I just was going to sportsline.com to see if RJ had jumped up to number 1 on the NFL leaderboard. He has.
Ooh.
And I got to say, it's a lot of mocks on the old Sportsline page. Looks like somebody's got her picks in. Your face is all over the top banner.
Oh, good. Yes.
And my face is not, but it is going to be later this afternoon, RJ, when I plug my picks in. Don't worry.
Oh, it better be. I think nobody else had a Dolphins Chiefs pick, and I know Katie loves that game, so that's probably right front and center with the early 9:30 game. You're going to see Katie Mox's face on.
Yeah. Two extra picks from Katie Mox on that one, and then one expert pick on Browns Cardinals, which we'll get to in a minute. But first, I got nothing on this one. I do lean towards the Buccaneers as well. Feels like, and by the way, Tampa Bay Texans and Houston Buccaneers. I kind of like those names better than the current ones.
Tampa Bay Texans doesn't make a lot of sense, but neither does the Utah Jazz. So I think we can
That's right. Or the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah. So I mean, we can be forgiven for that.
It's like that old line from basketball. It's like the Oilers moved to Nashville, where they have, or Tennessee, where there's no oil. The Los Angeles Lakers, the Lakers moved to Los Angeles, where there are no lakes,
right.
And the Jazz moved to Utah, where they don't allow music of any kind. Anywho, Washington Commanders at the New England Patriots. Gotta love basketball. I'm really drawing the good games here. Like you guys really locked me in on the marquee superstar games here. The Washington Commanders, of course, just dealt both Chase Young and Montez Sweat at the trade deadline, severely dampening their pass rush and their defense as a whole, which may be why this line is the total is over 40 and a half, little juice to the over. And New England -3 in this one. Prop, you've got a reception. Or Alex, you have a reception prop that you're going to give out.
I do indeed, Brinson. Yeah, I'm back in Jahan Dotson over 3.5 receptions. He looked dead in the water early to start the year. Really has broken out over the last 2 weeks. 18 targets, 13 receptions. Had his season best game with over 100 receiving yards last week. So that's certainly encouraging. Curtis Samuel, who's been accounted for a large target share in that offense, is also dealing with a toe injury. He checked in and out of the game last week against the Eagles. Hasn't practiced yet this week. Either way, I do think this is a good spot for Jahan Dotson. Washington, one of the highest passing volume offenses in the NFL this season. And certainly with the defense, losing key pieces, I think they could potentially be trailing. And we've just seen a lot of passing from them. So love Jahan Dotson. The Patriots also are very effective at taking away the opposing team's number 1 wide receiver. They rank top 5 in DVOA against number 1 wide receivers. We know that role is for Terry McLaurin. So I like Jahan Dotson to stay hot in this offense. The connection with Sam Howell seems to be improving as well. So going over 3.5 receptions here, guys.
And RJ, you got a best bet too, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that I had Jahan Dotson on my fantasy team, but I had him on the bench last week and I regretted it. So this reminds me, I got to move him up.
Yeah, I have Washington. I like Washington, but you got to get the 3.5. We've seen 3.5s in the market after those trades happened on trade deadline day, and I think getting them at plus 3.5 is a great value because we're doing this line at 3. My best bet for this game is Washington's team total over 19.5 points. So first on the line, I know Washington's D. They lost those 2 pass rushers, so downgrade them. They've been awful anyway. I don't know that you have to downgrade them. It's not like that pass defense is all of a sudden going to go into the tank when they've been in the tank all year. Howell, though, coming off his best game, only got sacked once against an elite defensive line. They did some different things on the offensive line. He seems to get the ball out quicker. If they can be that offense going forward, I think they're going to score a lot of points. And New England defense is 30th in sack rate, 30th in interception rate. I think they can go down and score some touchdowns here in this game. New England, I don't know if they can take advantage of this Washington pass defense being awful because they're 26th in yards per play. They're under 201 net passing yards in 7 of their last 8. They don't have Kendrick Bourne. Demario Douglas, a 6th rounder, might be their number 1 receiver moving forward. I don't think that's great for scoring a ton of points for them. This line is telling you New England's definitely the better team. I think these teams are even at best. So if you can get plus 3.5 and even get over the field goal, love it. But if not, go ahead and take this Washington team total over. They're going to score at least 20 points in this game.
I have 2 questions before we move to the next game. One, it's New England minus 2.5 on the CBSSports.com pick'em leagues. Would you still lean towards Washington?
I think a lot of people are going to go New England because they feel its value. My power ratings have the line at 1, so I still think Washington is the play there.
Do you think because I could really go either way on this one. And so it's sort of like, week 9, you start to kind of think about game theory a little bit, just in terms of like, can you get some leverage on the field if nobody wants Washington because they're selling, et cetera, et cetera. So I might go Washington. And then number 2, am I dreaming or I think somebody put this in our Slack chat, but did Mike Florio lob out on the radio that like Washington might trade for Bill Belichick this offseason?
I saw something about that on Twitter, but I didn't.
Yeah, it's like Florio's just like, as a throw, he's like, yeah, who knows? Like Josh Harris might just go and trade for Bill Belichick this offseason. It's like, what?
No,
not that crazy.
You think Bill would go?
I think that if this season ends as poorly as it's going for the Patriots, that Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick are going to have a talk about whether Bill Belichick is going to remain the GM or whether he needs to bring somebody else in for player acquisition. And Bill Belichick is not going to be down with that. And that Josh Harris, who wants to make a splash in Washington, and Bill Belichick's from Annapolis, it's not like I think going back to Washington and like reviving the Washington Commanders would like be a thing he would be into. I don't know. It's not that crazy. Weirder stuff has happened in the NFL. That would be a big one though.
It would be a big one. All right, moving on. Chicago Bears at the New Orleans Saints. Another fun one on the board today. Saints laying 8.5. This total is 41. We got a few bets on this game. I'll start with a prop and the secret Bajit man, taking him under his longest completion. It's at 31.5. He has completed just 1 pass of 25 yards or more through his first 2.5 games. The Bears have been pretty conservative with him, which of course makes a lot of sense considering he's brand new to the NFL. But the Saints have one of the best pass defenses in the league this year. They own the NFL's second lowest completion rate for opponents over 15 yards downfield, just 27.5%. They also have a 10% interception rate on those longer throws. So I think he stays under this 31.5 for his longest completion.
Good stat.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. They've been pretty bad, going on that game that against the Chargers. You would figure if you're going to have success against anyone, it's going to be against them. Brinson, you want to give your pick before I give mine, since mine's part of a teaser?
Yeah, and both your teaser legs, by the way, are each of my best bets, which is going to be really annoying if like I go 0-2 and RJ wins.
Tease it, but not your bets.
yeah, that's right. I'm just taking the Saints minus 8.5. It's a big number. The Saints offense is not very good. It's about time for Chris Olave to get going here, Prop.
Come on.
I actually think I picked up Derek Carr in my fantasy league, and I'm stacking him with Olave this week. So I think we can see some action against the bad Bears defense. And look, Chicago, that first game with Secret Bajit man, that was fun. The Cinderella story's over. I mean, they got blistered by the Chargers, and the Saints are a better defense than the Chargers.
Yes.
Even if I think you're going to see New Orleans completely lock down this Bears offense. There's no chance of Justin Fields playing. He's already been ruled out, I believe. And as such, you're just not going to the Bears aren't going to be able to do anything. I don't care that they got Montez Sweat added to this week. I doubt he gets a full thing of reps and snaps on a short week. And New Orleans should be able to move the ball effectively enough with Olave, Carr, and then, of course, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. Like, I don't think the Saints offense is good, but it's good enough to score on a bad Bears team. So Saints minus 8.5 and RJ. Yeah.
And Rashid Shaheed going downfield. And that's one thing that Derek Carr struggled with, is going downfield. And he was hitting Shaheed on those plays. Their offense is improving. 7.7 yards per play against Indy. Carr looking great going downfield, which we haven't been able to say much all year. And I know they've struggled in the red zone a lot of the year, but it doesn't matter if you can score from 30, 40, 50 yards out. New Orleans defense wasn't great in that game. They're still 6th in yards per play. They are struggling against the run. And if Chicago's going to have any success, it's got to be running the ball, because Payton looks brutal as a passer. Chicago's pass defense had been making strides the last few weeks, completely fell apart against the Chargers. I think the Saints are capable of taking advantage. I love the Saints 7 early in the week. We got that on Sportsline at New Orleans -7 at 8.5. Now it's an easy teaser, the easiest teaser leg of the week.
Yeah.
So I'm teasing New Orleans down to -2.5. And I still like your pick, because I have this line at 9 on my power ratings. And if New Orleans gets up by 10, I'm not worried about a backdoor cover from this passing offense. So I think they're going to win by double digits.
Oh, sorry. Before you go, Prop, am I allowed to like tack on the teaser? Your teaser is the best bet, since I have both of those bets, or is that?
No, because you took them minus the 8.5, right?
Yeah, I mean, no, I think RJ would have been like, I really don't want you to ruin my teaser, so I'd prefer you didn't, but I'll let you. And oh boy, Harry with the announcer jinx. RJ's weekly teaser has yet to miss. Great stat there, Harry. Okay, I won't jump on that teaser then, because I don't want to be.
Well, why don't we make RJ's teaser the official Pick Six podcast teaser every week, since it hasn't missed yet?
Yeah, sure. Prop, what were you gonna say? Olave?
I think this is a good buy low spot for Olave. I think the market would agree as well. Put him out on the Sportsline site yesterday at 58.5 yards. He has ballooned up to 65.5 yards presently. So some good closing line value there if you are a Sportsline subscriber.
Let me I just want to look and see what sorry. I was going to look and see what he is for offensive player of the year. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Is that even worth like even considering?
No, it's Tyreek at this point.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Tyreek is on pace for 1 million yards.
1,000 yards.
1 million.
I actually think that like Tyreek is not a terrible bet at plus 125, honestly.
He was one of our, we did a bunch of previews before the season on all the awards and stuff. And him and Waddle were my picks for offensive player of the year. Somebody in that offense is going to go and get a massive, they were split between like 1,700 yards and 1,300 yards last year. If there was any like weighting either way or the other, like that guy was going to get 2,000 yards and I was going to be a lock to get it.
Did you bet it? Did you bet that in Vegas when you went out there?
No, I went super more long shot. I found a DJ Moore 500 to 1 that I wanted to play. So I played that instead.
Gotcha.
We were all over Christian McCaffrey, but now he's in the MVP talks, which is wild.
Let's settle down, Miss Mox. All right. Next up.
But hey, you were on McCaffrey for Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive Player of the Year. I just don't think he's going to win MVP. Yeah.
I'm just saying, now he's trickled into other talks.
Other talks. All right. We're going to take a break and allow Katie to regain her sanity about a running back winning MVP. Just kidding. He'll be involved. He'll get a vote or two. More than Matthew
Stafford.
And when we come back, more games plus the Pick Six Parlay next.
We need the sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
It's time for the Pick Six Parlay, where we each select a game for a 4-leg moneyline parlay, but there are some rules. First, the person with the best record the previous week is to add the first leg, second place second, and so on.
So I'm last.
Yes, you are last. Ties are broken by season record. Second, we must at the end we have to have at least one plus money pick in there. That's right. We must bet one underdog. Anybody can bet it, but if the three of us bet favorites and Katie is forced to take an underdog last, this Pick Six Parlay segment is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Unbelievably, last week, 3 out of 4 legs of the parlay hit. The one that didn't hit. Actually, the first pick that was made, RJ had the first pick. Oh, are you
the can't lose pick?
I think I saw you blush a little bit, RJ. You can't believe that you cost us the parlay with the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes and his upset widow tummy caused him to lose to the Broncos. I mean, come on, dude. Like he had, it was a great pick. He was 25-0 against teams that were 2 games or more under 500, 16-0 on division road games in his career. Of course, he was going to beat the lowly Broncos, and somehow that's the one that lost it for us. I don't begrudge you, RJ. One of us would have picked it if you hadn't. Eagles get there, Ravens get there, Eagles barely got there, and Panthers barely got there. Denver doomed us. All right, RJ, 5-1 last week. You get to go first, followed by Harry, then me, Harry, followed by Alex.
I was like, we giving Harry? I mean, we could give Harry a pick, actually.
Harry's cursor was, I saw Harry's name pop up when I saw his cursor on the rundown. My apologies, Harry and Alex. So first, RJ, then Alex, then me, then Katie. RJ, who are you going with?
Yeah, so I feel bad. I ruined the parlay last week. I didn't know Patrick Mahomes would get sick. I had a great week, ATS, great week on my record, but I was not able to predict that. So I also feel bad. I don't think Katie should have to pick the underdog and be forced to pick last. Because
I'll go last.
No, that's okay. I have an underdog. My underdog lost the first week that we were on this, but I have another one. We're okay.
I'm taking the I'm taking the underdog. That's why I'm saying. Like I'm going to make up for it by stepping up and taking the underdog here. I am taking Brinson and I's from last week, Panthers again.
Let's go.
Plus 116. Panthers pass offense played better than the numbers suggest. It was Bryce Young's best day. He was throwing the ball downfield a lot. Now he's going against this Indy defense that's falling apart. Just gave up a ton of downfield work to Derek Carr. Minshew should not be a road favorite in any situation. I don't care who he's playing. Maybe against Tyson Bagent, but other than that, I'm not sure. I think the market is way too high on Indy right now. I think Carolina should be favored in this game, so I love getting plus 116 is a great value for a money line pick here. So I wanted to make sure that was an underdog that got on the card, and that's my best money line pick of the week. So Panthers plus 116 is the first pick here.
I guess I could just wait to talk. Well, I'll wait to talk about the Panthers till we get to that game. But I've got an angle. You might have an idea of what my angle is for the Panthers as well. Alex, what's your pick here?
I will take the aforementioned Saints going against Tyson Bagent and those Bears. Just the more exposure he gets, the more that offense looks to be cratering. I think New Orleans offense with Kamara back on the field definitely looks to be improving, firing all cylinders. I think the Saints easily roll in this game. I will take them on the money line.
So this is very interesting now. Am I going? Who's going last? You or me?
I'm going last. I have last 2 weeks in a row.
Okay, that's fine. That's right. You haven't correctly got to pick since week 6, since week 7. Oh, no, since week 6. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm just messing with you.
Week 7. Yeah, because I only missed last week, week 8.
Yeah, but you didn't get anything right in week 7.
Oh, right. True. Right. Oh, yes. So week 6.
Yeah. My point being is
Last
right now.
Brinson.
My point being is right now on the board, there's only one more favorite of a touchdown or more. Alex did the correct thing and took the Saints as the best money line bet. The question is, am I a gentleman and leave you the Browns, or do I take? No, I'm not a gentleman. I'm taking the Browns. Give me the Browns minus. They're minus 8.5 against the Cardinals. I don't feel great about it, but the Cardinals are starting. It's like a character from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Clayton Tune, at quarterback this week, and I trust that Browns defense to do enough to keep Clayton Tune in check.
For the record, I hate that pick.
I hate the pick as well.
I wouldn't. I was. It's like the Bills when we avoided them against the Patriots. I would not put the Browns in a parlay.
Do you want to? Would you rather?
It's your pick. It's whatever. There was no way I was taking the Browns.
Stone now.
I
wasn't taking them in a teaser. I wasn't taking them money line.
I don't know who else I would
Walker
take.
Laying a ton of points.
I don't know who else I would take.
You can pick a winner. I mean,
I'm not taking the Browns against the spread. By the way, I'm taking the Browns money line.
You can pick just an outright winner here. There's 13 other games, 12 other games.
All right, fine. I'll pick it.
No, it's already locked. Just because RJ doesn't like it doesn't mean that that's not your pick, Brinson.
I hate the pick too, though.
What?
I don't like to pick either.
Well, but you. Okay. Would you
Can
like
I
to
play?
choose-
Can I use tonight's game?
No.
I don't know, Harry.
I'll go with the Browns. I'm just taking the Browns. It's so
Okay, taking the Browns. Well, I don't know. RJ might not like my pick either. I'm taking the Bills. Money line, I believe, is at
Whoa,
108.
whoa.
Yeah. Versus the Bengals. And look, I know the Bengals look like one of the best teams in the NFL, completely dismantled the 49ers. Joe Burrow appears to be all the way back, rushed for what, like 47 yards, throwing downfield, getting Tyler Boyd involved. And the Bills have been hit or miss. It's been a bit of a roller coaster for them, but they tend to play down to lesser teams and show up for the big games like they did in week 4 versus Miami. It's going to be an emotional game, the first regular season matchup since DeMar Hamlin collapsed on the field. I think that they show up in this game. I think we see a good performance from Josh Allen. So add the Bills plus 108 to this parlay.
Wow, spicy.
Well, I mean, when I look at everybody else on here, it's like Chargers, Jets, Panthers, Bears.
No, they're all no. I think I think they're all really hard. That's what I'm saying. Like all the games are like difficult to pick. I think that's why. So we got Browns minus. Here's the line. Here's the final lines that I'm calculating. Saints minus 400, Browns minus 375, Panthers plus 120, and Bills plus 108. I plugged this in on sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gives us a plus 624 money line parlay. So you're getting over 6-1 if all 4 of these games hit. And you would have the ability, if you're betting these parlays at home and you wanted to, you could do this. If the first 3 legs hit on then Sunday Night Football is Bills and Bengals, you could come back and hedge out your initial stake. Do a full unit
for the people.
What's that? Yeah. You do a full, you get the first 3 and then you come back, you put a full unit on the Bengals at minus 125 or something like that. And you're guaranteed not to lose money with a chance to win 5 units.
You're welcome.
All right. That's it. That's the
parlay.
old. Oh, sorry. You were supposed to recap the parlay and I didn't read the rundown.
Totally fine. But give the,
This Pick 6 Parlay segment has been brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more.
yes.
Vikings at the Falcons. Falcons minus 4.5. My God, 2 new quarterback changes here. The Atlanta Falcons are rolling with Taylor Heineke. Desmond Ridder was like sort of benched, but not really. Like Arthur Smith was worried about his health and him as a person, which I guess I don't like. I guess it has to do with Marcus Mariota like leaving the team last year or something. I'm not really sure, but Taylor Heineke is starting now for the Falcons, and of course with Kirk Cousins going out for the year, Josh Dobbs in for Minnesota, but won't start this week. Jaron Hall, the rookie, starting for the Vikings. Unsurprisingly, nobody has a best bet here. Can't imagine there are any props. RJ, any thoughts on what to do with your power ratings with these 2 teams and the changes they're making with at quarterback?
Yeah, if going back to that last segment with the money line parlay, if I didn't take the Saints at number 1, say I was number 2 or 3, I would
thinking about Falcons.
Falcons. Yeah, I mean, just Jaron Hall on the road first start. Can't expect a lot there. Atlanta has a strong defense. They did lose Grady Jarrett. We saw that affect them in that game last week. We'll see how the pass rush responds here. I just can't expect anything from the Minnesota offense. No run game to fall back on without Kirk Cousins. Can't expect much from Jaron Hall. Probably will run around a little bit, but I don't think they'll get a lot of points. Minnesota's defense up to 10th in yards per play. They are better versus the run. Atlanta's offense dealing with some injuries. Drake London had a groin injury last week. We don't know how Taylor Heineke is going to perform here. Probably better than Desmond Ridder, but not a ton better. I know it's a super low total. I think I would probably look to the under. My power ratings make this line Atlanta -6, so I want to lean to Atlanta, but it's too much for an Atlanta team that just does not like to win games by margin. So if this got to 6, I probably want to fade and take the Vikings, even with Jaron Hall in there. So probably going to be a stay away from me, but at 4.5, if it gets to 4, I might look to the Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons' inability to win anything by more than 3 points, except for I think the Panthers in week 1, or like not to like it's every week with the Falcons. It's a field goal at the end, and Minnesota's defense really has been playing a lot better. I think that's something to watch for. Alex, I see you nodding your head. Any just sort of future thoughts on the Vikings defense? Because I think generally the general thinking from people is that the Vikings are a pretty easy defense to throw against, run against, et cetera. But they, as RJ mentioned, top 10 in yards per play. They're playing a lot better.
Yeah, has not been the case. They've been certainly getting better week to week. I listened to an interview with Harrison Smith recently, just talking about really buying into Brian Flores, and you obviously see the results on the field. each week get better and better. Highest blitz rate in the NFL by a significant margin.
By a wide margin.
By a wide margin. But defensively, they look really good. It's a shame Kirk Cousins went down because I really thought that they could have pushed for a potential wild card spot. Obviously, Kirk Cousins having a career year as well. But it's be interesting to see what this offense looks like without him. I think a lot of the Kirk Cousins detractors will have some crow to eat when they see this Minnesota offense. Sans Kirk Cousins.
You like that?
You like that? Next one. Finally, an exciting game. People are looking forward to see the Seattle Seahawks at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are laying 5.5. This total 44.5. Both of these teams have been playing very
this total
well.
Shot up.
Yeah. What was it before?
It was 42.5 yesterday.
Ooh. Well, this was the one that Emery said on Monday to take the over, right? This was one of those. Okay, you're not in your head.
Maybe Emery did too. I've got this one of my best bets. I had it at 42.5. Damn. Yeah. 44.5. All right.
Yeah. So if you listened on Monday, hopefully you took that as one of our, what do we call those? It's a FanDuel segment, the anticipation plays as an anticipation plays. That was one of them from Monday. Right. All right, RJ, you are taking the points with Seattle. You've been high in Seattle all year.
Yeah, I love Seattle. I know Alex loves Seattle too. They are better than the market is giving them credit for. Get this at 6 if you're playing it in the market, because 6s are available right now. Our odds are 5.5, and I'm still locking it as a best bet because I love Seattle. They were somewhat lucky to win last week, but 6.6 yards per play against Cleveland is very strong. I don't care who is performing, in that game. And even though the points didn't quite match it, especially not until the end, I think they had a great game there. Offense is now 7th in yards per play. Seattle's defense is 5th in yards per play. They should be on a 6-game winning streak. They lost to Cincinnati. They completely outplayed Cincinnati in that game in Cincinnati, lost 17-13, turn it over on downs twice at the end of the game, kick field goals there, you win. Or score some more touchdowns in there, you win. Don't throw it back, making an interception, you win. I really think this team, if they were on a 6-game winning streak, people would be respecting them a lot more, and this line would be closer to 3. It might be 3.5. It might be 4. Baltimore coming off an ugly offensive day despite their points, just 4.5 yards per play against an Arizona defense that not a lot of people have a lot of faith in. And so I think the argument people can make against Seattle is they really haven't been tested. Well, neither has Baltimore. Detroit's been the best opponent for both these teams. They both beat them. Baltimore, a lot more impressive, but of course they were playing a more depleted Detroit team. And then they both played Cincinnati. Baltimore won that game. Seattle didn't, but they should have won. And then the rest of the schedule there, it's like Baltimore plays Houston in CJ Stroud's first game. Like that might be their next best opponent. But Seattle gets a fully healthy Rams team in that week 1 before they were completely settled, and they suffered a lot of injuries in that game. I think these teams are a lot closer than this line is suggesting. I would make it 4. So even at 5.5, I think Seattle's the best bet for me.
I've got the over as a best bet. And I just remember where it was. We did we recorded our what do we call them? The
anticipation plays.
No. The other thing we recorded yesterday. You and I recorded yesterday for
pick 6.
I can't remember what I couldn't pronounce. I couldn't say it correctly.
Power plays. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, the power pick 6 plays of the.
Yeah, it was the
But remember, I was trying to find
on NFL on CBS Social.
That's right. Yeah, Pick 6 Pod on Instagram. Pick 6 Prime Picks.
Thank you, Harry.
Say that 5 times fast. Harry all over it as usual. I remember I was I had to do 3 takes to get it right, because the first one I was trying to find what the line was for that total. I was like, I love this over. And I guess since I gave him out of the Pick 6 Prime plays, it's gone up 2 points. A lot of P's in there, but I think this is a spot where. Both defenses are good. I mean, I think probably better against the run, and I think both teams would like to run. But this just feels like this could be like 70 points in this game, where it's the highest scoring game of the week, and you see this sort of back and forth between where Lamar takes some shots down the field, Zay Flowers gets involved, and then Geno starts to throw, and it's just with the Seahawks. You saw it against the Lions. Even the good but much improved Lions defense, the Seahawks are just one of those teams where if you can get them. They just will turn into a shootout, and they're hard to run against. I think top 5 run defense in the league, if not even the top run defense in the league, depending on which metric you're looking at. So I think this turns into a shootout. We get a ton of points, big time DFS spot with everybody else, and especially with on the main slate with the Chiefs and the Dolphins, and then the Bills and the Bengals off into prime time. This is probably a game that a lot of people focus on. Next up. Arizona Cardinals at the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are minus 8.5. We touched on this briefly. Over under 37.5. And Katie, you've got a best bet on this stanky game between Clayton. Is it Clayton Tune and PJ Walker? Is that right?
Well, yeah. We don't know about PJ Walker. I don't think quite yet. I think Deshaun Watson has been a full participant. I don't think it matters. I'm taking the under.
I think it sounded like Deshaun was like, well, I'm not really feeling it this week either, guys.
Which, yeah, I mean, fair, I guess. He's been doing that every single week.
Yeah, but they knew that. They, of course, 4 to 6 week injury. You're going to hear that from the insiders all weekend leading up to it because his agent's feeding everybody the stuff to get people off his back. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. Either way, I'm taking the under 37.5. I just don't know who exactly is scoring points. You look at the Cardinals on the road, the most they've scored is 16 points this season. And then you've got Clayton Tune making his very first NFL career start on the road, and it's against the Browns, the best defense in the league. Like, double yikes. Like, I don't know what he's going to be able to get done. And then the Browns situation, like you said, that's also kind of up in the air. Even if Deshaun Watson does play, which it seems like it's trending that he's not. We talked about this on Monday. That, what is it, a sprained right rotator? He doesn't look good anyways. Like, I don't expect a good offensive performance from him as well. And PJ Walker has been a little bit hit or miss. So I'll go under 37.5 here.
Yeah, I don't get this line at all. That's why I wouldn't play the Browns at minus 375 on the money line, just because, they need to cover like 80% of the time for that to win 80% of the time. And I just don't see this team beating anybody 80% of the time with PJ Walker at quarterback. Offense is 29th in yards per play. Can't throw the ball well, 31st on third down. Arizona's offense better than that, but of course that was Josh Dobbs running the show. You guys say it's Clayton Tune. I don't know that that's confirmed. Like, Kyler Murray, I think, has a chance to play in this game. I don't know if he's going to start, but I'm interested to see what they do on Saturday with the transaction list, because somebody's got to get elevated. Either it's got to be Kyler Murray coming off PUP list, or it's got to be Jeff Driscoll coming up from the practice squad, because they're not going into the game with one quarterback. So if it's Murray, I wonder, even if Tune is announced as a starter, if it doesn't go out well, Murray just like, okay, fine, get me back in there. We get him in the second half, leading a charge here. And you say the Cleveland defense best in the league. They just gave up 6.8 yards per play to Indy and 6.6 yards per play to Seattle. This is not a defense that's playing great at this point. Yeah. And they seem a little beatable to me.
Yeah.
Seattle's good offense. Indy isn't. Arizona's defense just gave up 4.4 yards per play to Baltimore, a better offense than I think either of these teams have played lately. And I think they may be improving defensively under Jonathan Gannon. Just too many points for me to lay with Cleveland offense, even if Deshaun Watson was out there, because he's had one good game since he's come back. So my lean is 8.5. The only reason I haven't put it in yet is I want to see if this line goes up, if Clayton Tune is officially announced as starter, and we can get even a higher number here, because give me all the points I can against PJ Walker, who has completed less than 50% of his passes this year.
Wait, I just saw that Tom Pelissero reported Jonathan Gannon. I don't know why Pelissero, or maybe Pelissero was talking about it. I just saw a headline. It's like Jonathan Gannon is, quote, says Kyler Murray is, quote, fired up, end quote, about the possibility of playing week 9. Is Kyler playing? I thought it was like done deal.
Put Kyler Murray up against the Browns defense in his first game coming back after us? I mean,
on the road. I mean, I would, if I thought out Kyler Murray was playing this game, I would want to switch out to Atlanta on the money line versus the Browns.
Yeah, I was digging into this before the show. Wednesday, he has been practicing. He wasn't even on the practice reports, even though he showed up as doubtful. It seems like in the media portion of the practice, he was only working with the practice squad, and it was Driscoll and Tune working with the actual 53-man roster, the active roster. So that isn't a great indication. But if that flips,
unless Gannon, I can see Gannon doing some like shady stuff where he like has Kyler do that, and he's like, "Surprise, Kyler's playing."
But that's why it's key with that Saturday thing, like I was saying. Like, if it ends up being Kyler Murray activated, and like he's not going to start, but just in case, he's there, just in case could turn into you're playing after halftime if Clayton Tune doesn't look great. So
should we swap the Browns out of that parlay then? Yes.
No, you cannot change your pick, Brinson. If that's the losing leg, that's the losing leg.
Okay, fine. Okay, you know what? I need to get my sanity back, so we're going to take a break. And after the break, we'll have the rest of the Sunday slate. But first, Sunday, the NFL is on CBS, and we can't wait for a can't-miss Week 9 slate headlined by an interconference showdown in Charm City between the Seahawks and the Ravens. It all gets started at noon Eastern with JB and the guys on the NFL Today. All hail Sunday. The NFL is on CBS and streaming on Paramount+. Panthers 2 wins in a row? Maybe. We'll tell you coming up next.
An NWSL semifinal Sunday you'll never forget, with an icon leading the Shield winners against a legend who's hanging up her boots, and a budding star looking for back-to-back championships against a squad determined to give their captain a grand finale. All on CBS Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Big Six podcast. We are looking, this is our pick show on Thursday. Sorry, a text message came through and I was reading it. And then, hello and welcome back to the Big Six podcast. All right, looking at the late slate here.
What if you'd read the text message on air instead of like saying welcome back?
Well, it was somebody telling me that I guess the NYC Marathon is this weekend. So I'm on the Sunday show and there's going to be some road closures. So that text message just popped up. And
so that wasn't that was, oh, sorry. What's that, RJ?
I said, what if you read the text on air and it turns out that it was a quote from a player that was completely made up? What would you do in that situation? Brinson almost did last week.
Oh, you almost did that last.
Were you not? Did we not talk about this? I was telling somebody else about this, I guess.
Oh,
yeah, because you weren't here
on Monday.
I think I sent it to you where I was like, you were like, oh yeah. Yeah, that was the Devin Witherspoon quote. But I good for you, Katie. I thought that was I thought you were working your way towards I'm running in the marathon humble brag. It was just simply I'm on television humble brag via the marathon. Very nice, very nice.
Well, I do what I can. I only run when being chased. All right, next up, let's talk about the late slate games here. Indianapolis Colts laying 2.5?
Yep.
Versus Carolina Panthers. This total 43.5. I talked about this on the Monday show. I'm taking the over in this game in the Frank Reich revenge game. I think that the Panthers offense is going to play a little bit better. And under Minshew, the Colts have actually gone over their team total in the last 3 games. RJ, this is one of your teasers, and you also have a prop bet.
Yeah, they give up 1,000 points a game now because the Colts defense is not playing well, and Gardner Minshew scores as many points for the other team as he does for his own team.
True.
At first glance last week, the Carolina offense was no better, but it was a failure by the run offense. Bryce Young had his best yards per attempt of the year, best quarterback rating by a mile. Sacks were a big issue in that game. We'll see if they can get that figured out. Indy D just got burned by New Orleans downfield. I think this is a Bryce Young breakout. I'm playing him over 221.5 passing yards. I would play it even higher than that, probably up to 240 or so. I just think that it's going to be a big game for him. Carolina's defense, 8th on third down, solid interception rate. They can get the turnovers that Gardner Minshew was desperate to give to the other team. He should not be laying points, especially on the road. Carolina should be favored here. If you can get it at 3, love Carolina at 3, would make it a best bet at 3. At 2.5, it's part of my teaser. I'm teasing it up to plus 8.5. Hard for me to see this Indy team winning by margin when they're not very good.
What's the Minshew interception prop? I got to look this up. Considering, keep going.
Yeah, go check the Minshew interception. Look, you mentioned. Do you want to look it up? Or you want me to look it up? I can talk.
They don't even list it on FanDuel right now because it's probably going to be
minus 3,000.
Yeah.
Look,
the line's at 1.5.
And no one loves a revenge game more than me, and I feel like this may be sort of like my magnum opus, my opus, whatever. Harry can put it up. He knows what it is. Whatever the phrase is.
Mr. Holland's opus.
This is Mr. Brinson's opus is what this is.
Great
because movie. Frank Reich, who I love, was fired by that clown Jim Irsay for magnum opus. Yeah, that's what I meant. Thank you. I started to say it. I was like, is that the wrong word? Fired by this goon Jim Irsay, who replaced him with Jeff effing Saturday. Jeff Saturday was working as an ESPN analyst covering the NFL on television with no experience coaching football past high school. Frank Reich is a former NFL quarterback, a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator, and one of the most respected people in the game coach-wise. And he got fired for Jeff Saturday mid-season. Jeff Saturday's only win was against Josh McDaniels, which is part of the reason why Josh McDaniels just got fired. It is the biggest slap in the face you will ever see. The Panthers hired Frank Reich, and now he gets a chance in his first year, coming off his first win, having eased some of the pressure on the Panthers. Bryce Young's best start so far. He turned the play calling over to Thomas Brown. He gets a chance to extract his revenge. And if you think that this doesn't, he'd be like, no, it's just another game, prepping for it. That is a lie. If he says that. This means everything to Frank Reich, and he wants to take it to the Colts. And I bet you that he will. And we're going to see a thing where, I don't know if Frank Reich hit the game ball last week. I would guess Bryce Young did because they won the
No,
game. Maybe
the offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown, got the.
Oh, Thomas Brown got it. Yeah. Well, I guarantee you this: when the Panthers win, not if they win, when they win, David Tepper will be handing Frank Reich a game ball. Be like get something about Jim Irsay and Jeff Saturday in that locker room. Panthers win this they might win by double digits, honestly. Whew. All right, that was a fired up rant. I think the espresso kicked in there. Probably got anything? Anybody else got anything on this? Or you just want me to go to Cowboys at Panthers? Cowboys and Eagles. How about that? Cowboys at the Eagles. I gotta tell you, I think this line's a little fishy because I saw it and was like, man, the Eagles are a stone cold lock, and I've gone the other way. I think I like the Cowboys now, having dug into it and looking at the sort of the scores and the results when Mike McCarthy and Nick Sirianni square off, but I don't have it as a best bet. RJ, I believe you do.
Best bet, Cowboys +3. It was another game where Dallas D carries their team to a big early lead. It seems like they can do that 25 to 30 to 40% of the time, just with how good that defense is. But unlike earlier in the season where the offense didn't have to do much, Dak was fantastic last week. He had 4 touchdowns, just incredible. And Philadelphia's defense struggling to stop the pass. We saw what they did against Sam Howell last week. Philly has lost the turnover battle in 4 straight. They are 24th in interception rate on offense, where Dallas, of course, is first because they know how to generate these interceptions over and over. Despite the record between these two teams, I trust Dallas more, not just on the defensive side of the ball, but on the offensive side of the ball right now. That's why I think getting +3 is great. It looks like this is shaded toward Philly right now on FanDuel. So if you think you're going to get 3.5, wait to get the 3.5. I think it should be going the other way. I like Dallas +3 as a best bet.
And I have a best bet on DeAndre Swift here, over 56.5 rushing yards. Love this spot for DeAndre Swift. I know obviously Dallas has a good D, but I think you can negate that pass rush by running the football. Obviously the Eagles as well. Their offensive line, their run blocking as good as any team in the NFL. When you have Jalen Hurts under center as well, I don't think it really matters as far as the matchup is concerned. Since Swift has taken over as the starting running back, has a massive stranglehold on running back touches in this backfield. He's averaging 81 rushing yards per game, gone over in 5 of 6 games as a starter. Last week handled 16 of 18 running back carries as well. So I think he sees 14 to 16 carries in this game. That should be competitive. Eclipse 56.5 rushing yards. I also really like his attempts over at 13.5 attempts as well.
All right, moving on to a risky one. The Giants at the Raiders. Raiders laying 1.5, which tells you how bad the Giants are, because the Raiders just sold everybody out, got rid of everyone, cleaned house, benched their quarterback, and they are still favored over the Giants. And you like it, Brinson.
Yeah, well, in full disclosure, I had 5 best bets in my column that publishes every Thursday on CBSSports.com. One of them is for tonight's game. I'm taking the Steelers as a best bet, which I don't really feel great about either. I need to put that in sports time when I get done here. I like backing Matt Canada. That seems like a good idea. But anywho, neither here nor there. I couldn't use that for this one. I was going to go Cowboys, but then I saw RJ just sitting the Cowboys, and so I was like, I don't want RJ to feel like he'd already sent it in. I want to feel like, you're
looking over his shoulder.
I think that RJ isn't worried about whether I'm like copying his bets. I think he's worried that like if I'm on the bets and he's like, oh, is that a bad idea? Yeah. Have I made a mistake? Right. So instead I decided to go with the Raiders here. And you know what? I got one revenge game. This is, if you want to do the Brinson narrative parlay, Panthers and the Raiders on the money line, this is the quintessential dead cat bounce game. And what happens is the Raiders fired everybody. And now Antonio Pierce is going to get this team fired up. They're going to play with a lot of energy. And when you see it, whenever somebody gets fired, an offensive coordinator, a head coach, defensive coordinator, you see whoever they're in charge of. In this case, it's the whole team and the whole organization is like, oh, if they can get fired, I can get fired. And they're going to be motivated for Antonio Pierce. We heard Dews talked about it. He said he played with him as a rookie. You should check out the podcast from yesterday. Called him the smartest football player he's ever played, smartest teammate he's ever had, and says that Pierce will do a great job motivating these guys. Wow. I don't know if he's going to be great. I think, but we do think we get a Rich Bisaccia style dead cat bounce from the Raiders here, and a little success with Antonio Pierce in this week. First game against the Giants at home, very winnable, regardless of who's at quarterback and who's the head coach.
Even Jeff Saturday won his first game
against Josh McDaniels. That's right. Yeah.
Against Josh.
Coming together.
Okay, yep. There we go.
Very proud of Brinson for this pick. This is definitely the right side here, especially Darren Waller out. Giants offense, throw out that Arizona game where they rallied late. They have 4 touchdowns in 7 games on offense. They are very,
terrible.
very bad offensively.
Yes.
And so even if Daniel Jones comes back, I don't think he's gonna rescue this offense without Darren Waller. I expect Vegas to rally around Antonio Pierce, getting his first big shot here to prove, that he can be a head coach in this league. I think they'll beat a bad Giants team at home. So I think this is the right side, Brinson.
Love it. All right. And finally, Bills at the Bengals. What a game on Sunday night. As Katie pointed out, this is the first regular season matchup between these two teams since the Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field, although this one is in Cincy, and you see Bengals -1.5 shaded a little bit with the juice to Cincinnati -115, a total of 49.5. Oh, I mean, I totally knew that I had the best bet on the Bengals here. That's right. I forgot I was going head-to-head with Mox on this one. Yeah, give me the Bengals. Look, it's Sunday Night Football. It's in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is completely healthy. He gets up for these games. Yeah. He loves playing against the Bills. He loves playing against the Chiefs. He knows how much it means to be going in this AFC battle. And the Bengals, where they are right now, you win this game, and all of a sudden they beat the Niners, beat the Bills. They're on like a 4-game win streak, and that horrible start to the season is completely forgotten. And they're maybe looking in the driver's seat to chase down the number 1 seed overall in the AFC, and maybe be the best team in football. So I will take the Bengals here at a prime time spot. And prop, Alex, you've got a prop as well here.
I do indeed, Brinson. I've got a prop on both sides, starting with Josh Allen over 26.5 rushing yards. I know the shoulder has been an issue, obviously, recently, but looked pretty healthy to me last week. 7 attempts for 41 rushing yards. Heard Josh Allen after the game talk about how the shoulder feels better every day. I also just think we're getting a big discount on this number because prior to last week, really had not been running the ball very often, or when he was, very effectively. I think Josh Allen in these primetime spots tends to really play a little bit of hero ball as well.
That's true.
See him run a lot more on primetime, frankly. So getting the discount here, couldn't pass it up. Speaking of discounts, T. Higgins, this was a best bet of mine last week that I'm running back, over 49.5 receiving yards. Had the whole bye to heal up, saw against Katie's 49ers last week, went 5 catches, 69 yards, looked fully healthy to me. Only played 53% of the snaps in that game, was splitting work with Trent Irwin. I don't think that's going to be the case this week. I think that number creeps up to 80-90% of the snaps in this game. The game obviously has a high total, shootout potential. I always talk about getting cheap pieces when you have a guy as good as T. Higgins, in my opinion, in a contract year with the amount of attention that Jamar Chase commands opposite of him. Getting him under 50 yards is just a tremendous value. Can't pass it up.
Katie, I know you got the Bills the best, but I'm curious, RJ, your Bills, it's over your right shoulder, that Buffalo helmet. Your quick thoughts on this game.
Yeah, I like the Bills side, especially when it was up at 3. Look ahead was Buffalo -1. You have to adjust Cincinnati all the way up to where I had them. You would have them preseason because Joe Burrow looked completely healthy, looked completely back. So this team is a contender. But the Buffalo's offense looked back in form against Tampa. They're 30 yards per play, second and third down, second in the red zone. Profiles like a shootout. That Allen number that Alex is talking about, 41 rush yards after 4 straight under 20. That tells me that he's healthy. He's willing to run, take some hits, and I think he's confident in his ability there. Despite the dominant win that Cincy had, they allowed 8.2 yards per play to San Francisco's offense. Buffalo's defense also first in sack rate. They have to get the pressure on Joe Burrow to win. They've shown they could do that this year. So if they can get some pass rush here and jostle Burrow a bit, I think they can win this game still. But it's going to be close. It's anybody's game, really. I would just take the points here.
Let's go. We already know I'm on Bills plus the 1.5. And that's going to do it for our show, guys. Let's go ahead and recap these picks. Throw them up, Harry. Brinson, tell us what you
got. The Saints -8.5, the Seattle Baltimore over 44.5, Carolina +2.5, the Raiders -1.5, and the Bengals -1.5 as well.
And I'm going to take Tyreek Hill for an anytime touchdown, but I have KC winning -1.5. I'm taking Secret Bajet Man under 31.5 yards for his longest reception, the under 37.5 for Arizona and Cleveland, the over in Indy and Carr 43.5, and Buffalo +1.5.
I have Tampa Bay +3. I have Washington's team total to go over 19.5 points. My teaser is New Orleans -2.5 and Carolina +8.5. I have Seattle +5.5. I have Bryce Young to go over 221.5 pass yards. And then I have the Cowboys +3.
And let's go Jahan Dotson over 3.5 receptions. DeAndre Swift over 56.5 rushing yards. I also really like his attempts over 13.5. Josh Allen over 26.5 rushing yards. T. Higgins over 49.5 receiving yards.
All right, a lot of money on the board there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. That is the show. Make sure you tune in on Sunday for the recap show with the Super Friends. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube page. If you're listening to the audio version only, download, follow, leave a 5-star review, and tell your friends to listen and watch the pod. We'll see you next time.